Hey guys, what's going on? It's Meteorologist Cody Murphy here for another edition of Weather School for Kids on this Friday. Thanks for joining us. Today we are going to talk about building your own rocket at the house. You can fly and zip around the house, down the stairs, in the backyard, wherever you want to go. You'll have a rocket to kind of blow around. So really cool thing we're going to do today. Finding all these ideas, in case you're wondering, because I know we're doing these during the week, but on Saturday and Sunday, if you're looking for some cool ideas and activities to do with the kids, check out NASA's website. NASA has some awesome ideas for kids of all ages, pre-K all the way up to 12th grade. Some really cool hands-on stuff, whether that's arts and craftsy kind of things or actual applying physics and science and math to a couple of things. NASA's got a lot of that stuff on their website, so pretty cool place to check out if you're looking for some things to do. So again, if you're just joining me, I'm Meteorologist Cody Murphy for Weather School for Kids. Today we're going to build our own rocket out of a couple of simple things I found around the house that you can build in just a few minutes. So let's kind of work through what we'll need for this activity. First thing you'll want, a couple of blank pieces of paper. I've already drawn my rocket on here, which we'll get to in a second, but just a couple of pieces of paper. You'll need some scissors, so maybe some parental supervision there with the scissors. We'll also need some coloring pencils or markers. I don't have markers, so I just grabbed some stencils that I got, colored pencils that I got, found in an old drawer of mine upstairs. So awesome things. Again, these are all things that I find around the house, so you don't have to go out and grab any tools or anything like that. You'll also need some tape, Scotch tape, whatever tape you got. Just some small clear tape would be good to go. And then you will need a straw. It doesn't matter what kind of straw you got, as long as you got one. If you have one that bends at a 90-degree angle, you know, the little fun, fuzzy-looking ones or whatever, scrunchy ones, those work just as good and actually will probably work a little better than the straw I have here. So, again, let's get to it. So, step one, you will need to draw a rocket. So this is the rocket I came up with. And if you're big in this space like me, you might recognize this rocket. This looks a lot like a Falcon 9 rocket from SpaceX. So again, just draw your rocket, okay? Color it however you want. So mine's pretty blank right now. So that's what we have the coloring pencils for, the coloring markers, so we can actually kind of decorate our rocket however we want, okay? So I'm just gonna put on here, I'm gonna name my rocket. This is the News 4 rocket, all right? So super simple again, and get creative with this, kids. Color these things in, make your rocket look however you want, and then experiment with a couple of different shapes of rockets, maybe adding some things and removing some things, so when you go to fly it, we'll see how different it is compared to the shape of the rocket, okay? So once you've got your rocket drawn out, you'll want to cut it out, okay? So we'll cut this one out together. So here we are cutting our rocket now. So hopefully everyone is having a fantastic day for just joining us. This is Weather School for Kids, and we are building at-home rockets here today. Also, whenever you start to cut up and start cutting off pieces of your paper, save something like this, a nice little block. We'll actually use that a little later on for this experiment, okay? So we're continuing to cut our rocket here. We are building at-home rockets that the kids can fly around the house if you want. Kind of a cool thing to do. So we'll keep cutting here. Get this thing all the way through. Anyway, so rockets, just a little background here, is they've been around for decades. It's what we use to send astronauts to space. It's what we use to send supplies to the International Space Station. Rockets are also used to launch satellites that we use in the studio there at News 4. There are a lot of satellites that are in outer space right now that were carried by rockets that we use to forecast. Some of the ones that I have been to, I've actually been to, maybe you've never heard of it, but it's called the GOES-16 rocket. It went up in 2016, and when I was working in Florida, I actually was able to go to that rocket launch at Cape Canaveral in Florida, and it was awesome. Really, really cool thing to check out, okay? All right, so now that I've cut out my rocket, this is what it looks like, okay? So we got the News 4 rocket. It's gonna fly around. I don't have any yarn or anything, but if you want to, you can add a little pizzazz to this, and you can tape on some yarn here at the bottom, the exhaust where the propellant comes out that launches the rocket up, just to give it a little flair, just to make it look a little cooler, okay? So the next step, once we have our rocket cut out, is we will need to, remember the piece of paper I said to save? So take that, all right? And then take your straw. Probably go ahead and divvy out some tape as well. So I'm going to divvy out about 2 to 3 pieces of tape, because we are going to make our sling, if you will, so we can launch our rocket. So take your straw, take your paper, and kind of roll it around your straw just a little bit. And make sure it's not super tight on there, okay? It needs to be relatively loose so that the straw can go in there freely. So I've wrapped it around a little bit. I'll cut a little bit off here, okay? Finish it off, and then I'm going to use a piece of tape and tape this on here so it stays how it is right now. So that's it. That's what we created. We just created a little hole there so that way the straw can go in, okay? So sticking with this thing, what we'll do is on one end, doesn't matter which end, but on one end, fold it over, okay? So that way the straw cannot go all the way through it. And then once I get this done on my end, I'll get a little closer to the camera to kind of show you what I'm talking about, okay? All right, so let me get in front of the camera a little bit. So basically I just bent one side up here down a little bit so that way the straw can no longer go through. The straw goes in one end, but it can't go out the other, right? Let me show you what it looks like with the straw inserted. So again, make sure this isn't too tight because you want to be able to get the straw back in there. So there we go. There's my launching apparatus here. See how the straw won't go through it anymore? It's because I bent down and taped this in. That's what you need to do, okay? So the idea here is that when we tape this piece onto the back of our rocket, we can blow it and it zips on out of here, okay? All right, so let's keep going. I've got another piece of tape, and we're gonna tape the thing we just made for the straw on the back of our rocket, on the back of it, okay? Not the front. Whatever side you decorated and colored and all that, that's the one you don't want to tape to. So tape to the back side of your rocket. Let me tape this on here, and then I'll show you how it looks, okay? All right, so here we are. So here's my rocket. Here's the front of it, the News 4 rocket. And then on the back, this is the straw piece that I just made, okay? So you'll tape that right to the back. Just one piece of tape should do it. Maybe 2 might be a good idea, actually. Yeah, let's do 1 more, just in case. All right. Hopefully everyone's having a good day out there. It sure is a beautiful day to go test some rockets in the backyard. Maybe that's something you and the kiddos can plan on here in a little bit. All right, and so this is pretty much the completed look of our rocket. We'll take our straw, we'll insert it into the launching apparatus that we just created here, okay? So this is what it looks like now with it on the straw. It's inserted in the rocket, or excuse me, the launching apparatus, all right? And then we are ready for liftoff. Here we go in 3, 2. And that was it, folks. That is how you build your own rocket. This is one I built earlier. And again, there you go. Fun little experiment at home. Doesn't require you to go to the store to grab any supplies. You just need some coloring pencils or coloring markers. You need some tape, some scissors, and just some paper. And that is all it is, and a straw. Yeah, you gotta have the straw. And that is all it is, folks. So here's our rocket on a straw. And now you just blow in the straw. And your rocket flies through the house. How cool is that, right? All right, folks. Well, that is it for this edition of Weather School for Kids. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you learned how to do something cool at the house. Again, this requires very little effort. All ages are welcome to try this. This is super simple to do. And it's also a fun exercise that you can build on a beautiful day and get outside to try it out. So if you need help setting it up, shoot me an email. Go back and comment on this Facebook Live. I'll go back through, start reading some of them, and help you out where I can. And then also, once you build your rocket, let me see what it looks like, and then we can check it out together. It's a pretty cool thing to do. So in the meantime, guys, hopefully you have a great weekend. Stay safe, be kind to each other, and we will see you next week for Weather School for Kids on Monday at 11 o'clock. Bye, guys.